In a startling and deeply unsettling development that has sent shockwaves through South Africa's political establishment, Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie has publicly aligned himself with President Cyril Ramaphosa in what many observers are calling one of the most explosive political revelations in recent memory, a moment that could dramatically reshape the national political landscape. What began as an ordinary press briefing in Johannesburg quickly descended into one of the most dramatic and unexpected political moments of the year when McKenzie, known for his unapologetic rhetoric and confrontational political style, veered sharply off script and delivered a stunning declaration that left journalists, analysts, and the public reeling. In a statement that immediately reverberated across the country, McKenzie declared that both he and President Ramaphosa were implicated in corruption, bluntly urging the nation to abandon what he described as collective denial and political pretense. His words, delivered without hesitation and with striking candor, landed like a thunderclap, instantly transforming a routine media engagement into a full-blown political crisis. McKenzie, famed for his incendiary language and unfiltered delivery, proceeded to read out what he described as confessions and denunciations that implicated not only himself but dragged the sitting president into the center of an alleged web of corruption associated with the ruling African National Congress. From the moment his remarks hit the airwaves, it became clear that this was not mere political theatrics or grandstanding, but a calculated and deeply disruptive intervention that threatened to upend established political narratives. With a defiant tone, McKenzie dismissed any attempt to deflect blame or sanitize the situation, openly admitting his own involvement in questionable dealings and insisting that Ramaphosa was no different. He spoke of deals made behind closed doors, of deliberate blind eyes turned when it suited those in power, and of a political culture in which corruption, according to him, was not an aberration but a systemic feature originating at the very top. As he spoke, the room reportedly fell into stunned silence, with many in attendance struggling to comprehend the magnitude of what was being alleged. McKenzie painted a grim picture of a political underworld sustained by whispered favors, shadowy agreements, and access to state-linked contracts that allegedly enriched ANC insiders as well as external political actors, himself included. The implications of his remarks were immediate and far-reaching. Within hours, video clips of his statements spread rapidly across television screens, news websites, and social media platforms, triggering an avalanche of reactions that ranged from outrage and disbelief to grim vindication among citizens who felt their long-held suspicions had finally been voiced aloud. The ANC, already reeling from years of corruption allegations, controversies surrounding cadre deployment, and lingering fallout from state capture revelations, suddenly found itself facing a new and uniquely destabilizing scandal. Unlike previous accusations that emerged from investigative journalism, opposition parties, or judicial commissions, this time the claims came from a political leader who openly admitted his own complicity and directly implicated the sitting president. According to one senior ANC official who spoke to local media on condition of anonymity, the situation was unprecedented and potentially devastating, as it involved an external political figure publicly acknowledging participation in alleged wrongdoing while simultaneously pulling the president into the spotlight. Behind the scenes, emergency meetings were reportedly convened late into the night at Luthuli House, with party strategists, senior officials, and legal advisors scrambling to assess the political, legal, and reputational damage caused by McKenzie's statements and to consider possible responses. As public pressure mounted, the silence from the presidency only intensified the sense of national unease. At the time, President Ramaphosa had not issued a detailed response, with the presidency releasing only a brief statement acknowledging awareness of the remarks and indicating that a response would follow in due course. That restraint, however, did little to calm a nation already simmering with frustration and distrust. On social media, South Africans reacted with a mixture of anger, disbelief, and bitter affirmation, with hashtags such as #McKenzieBombshell, #RamaphosaExposed, and #CorruptionConfession quickly trending as citizens demanded clarity, accountability, and decisive action. Political commentators and civil society voices weighed in with increasing urgency, warning that if McKenzie's claims were substantiated, they would strike at the heart of the country's democratic credibility. One prominent activist argued that a president implicated in corruption could not continue to speak convincingly about clean governance, ethical leadership, or national renewal, a sentiment echoed across countless online discussions and public forums where confidence in government appeared to be rapidly eroding. The timing of the scandal could scarcely be worse for the ANC, which is already grappling with declining electoral support, fragile coalition arrangements in key metropolitan areas, mounting public dissatisfaction, and growing pressure from civil society organizations demanding reform and accountability. Within the party itself, reactions have reportedly been deeply divided. Some veteran members and senior figures are said to favor an aggressive response, urging Ramaphosa to distance himself publicly from McKenzie and pursue legal action for defamation in order to protect both his reputation and the party's standing. Others, however, have advised caution, warning that a hasty or combative reaction could backfire by drawing further attention to the allegations and inflaming public anger. Members of the ANC's old guard are reportedly concerned that any misstep could deepen internal divisions and further alienate an already skeptical electorate. Meanwhile, McKenzie has shown little inclination to retreat or soften his stance. In the latter part of his press briefing, he doubled down on his remarks, dismissing questions about political consequences and framing his statements as an overdue act of honesty. He spoke openly about his experience within what he described as the rough realities of political power, challenging the public and political elites alike to stop feigning surprise at practices he claimed were widely known among those who operate near the corridors of influence. His raw and unscripted words resonated with many South Africans who have grown disillusioned with repeated promises of reform, transparency, and ethical leadership that have rarely translated into tangible change. Legal experts have cautioned that McKenzie's public admissions and accusations could carry serious consequences, not only for him but for anyone he has named or implied. Constitutional scholars have emphasized that if credible evidence exists to support his claims, the matter could open the door to criminal investigations and prosecutions, potentially ensnaring multiple political figures. At the same time, analysts have noted that if the allegations prove unfounded or strategically motivated, McKenzie himself could face significant legal and political risks. Speculation about his underlying motives has intensified, with some observers suggesting that his statements may represent a calculated attempt to force broader disclosures, secure political leverage, or reposition himself ahead of the 2026 elections. Others interpret his move as a scorched earth strategy aimed at exposing systemic corruption from within and redefining his political identity as an unfiltered truth-teller willing to implicate himself in the process. Regardless of intent, the effect has been unmistakable, plunging the country into a period of heightened uncertainty and political volatility. Civil society organizations have already begun mobilizing, with several advocacy groups calling for the establishment of an independent judicial commission of inquiry to investigate McKenzie's allegations and any potential links to the president. Petitions demanding Ramaphosa's resignation have reportedly gathered thousands of signatures within days, and plans for protests in major cities are already underway. Activists have framed the moment as a long-overdue reckoning, arguing that South Africans are weary of corruption scandals, evasions, and leaders who appear to place themselves above the law. As pressure mounts, political analysts suggest that Ramaphosa is facing one of the most precarious moments of his presidency, caught between competing imperatives that all carry significant risks. Silence or delayed response may be interpreted as tacit admission or weakness, while an aggressive counterattack against McKenzie could invite even deeper scrutiny and prolong the crisis. For now, the nation watches closely as the situation continues to unfold, aware that the consequences could be profound and lasting. What is clear is that Gayton McKenzie has done far more than deliver a provocative soundbite. He has potentially ignited the most serious political crisis South Africa has faced since the end of apartheid. At the center of this gathering storm stands President Cyril Ramaphosa, whose political future and historical legacy now hang in the balance, as the country confronts uncomfortable questions about power, accountability, and the true state of its democracy.